Hello, my name is Aaron E, also known as the English Streamer, and today we'll be going over how socketing colouring works and how there is a trick to make it easier and cheaper to colour any piece of equipment that requires 4 or less sockets. So that is one-handed weapons, that is shields, that is your boots, gloves, and your helmet. So to cover how colouring works, and I'm sorry if this is really simple for you and this that you already know, this is also being targeted towards the newer players. There's a website which is called Vorsi Colour Calculator, which I use very, very often. So with this, you can type in the number of sockets in your item. Let's say we have a 4-socket pair of boots. The requirements to wear them are, say, 110 strength, because they are pure armor based, and we're wanting to get, say, 1 red socket and 3 blue sockets on it. Now, if an item requires strength to wear, it's going to have a bias towards red sockets. If it has green, it'll be towards green, dex will be towards green sockets, and int will be for blue sockets. So to calculate this, it actually tells you of all the different methods, the fastest way and the cheapest way to do it. Fastest being with average attempts, and cheapest being obviously the average cost. So this is saying the cheapest way to make this is with Vorsi 3 blue, or 3B. Now let me show you what this means. If we went over to the crafting bench, there is a craft on there further down that says at least 3 green sockets, 3 red, 3 blue. There's a whole list of options you can do. There is literally lines and lines of ways you can socket things, which can make it a little bit confusing for people as to what is the cheapest method. So this website is brilliant for that. Next, if you were to have more of a worst case scenario type of item, let's say the same situation, but instead you want 3 blue and 1 green, over 1,000 chromes, 2 and 2. A little bit less, but it's still kind of bad. Let's say this requirement goes up. And now, the higher the level requirement, the more of a weighting it has towards that colour. So it's unrealistic, but if this requires a 5,000 strength, it's now doubled how hard it's going to be to get this. If you're needing 4 blue, which requires 5,000 strength, you're going to get in a lot of trouble. But there is a trick, and my friend actually needs to colour his pieces of gear that he's struggling with it, so we're going to be using this trick live to show how it's done and how much cheaper it's going to be. So he has this pair of gloves. Now, he is fairly new to the game. He is trying to build together his own explosive arrow build, following my other guides. And he's trying to turn these pair of gloves into 3 red, 1 blue. Let me just double check that. He did put it further up here. Gloves are 2 blue, wrong way around. Boots are 2B, 2G. That's just so that he can do them himself. There's 3 pieces to his gear that he needed colouring: his helmet, boots, and gloves. I did his gloves and explained to him how I did it, because my headset was charging for this video. And then I said, okay, let me show you your boots and your gloves. His boots were a lot easier to do, so I've left him with his boots to do, and I'm going to do his gloves. So his gloves needs to be 3 red, 3 blue and 1 red. I'm glad I double checked that. So we go over to here. We need 3 blue, 1 red on I believe it's a 50 dex requirement base. Now, this is going to cost 875 chromes. Now, currently, 1 chaos gets you 6 chromes. So this is in the ballpark of about 145 chaos orbs to do this craft, which is not ideal. So the way you do it, in a much cheaper way, is if you were to change the sockets down to 2 sockets, you can cheaply choose the colouring of the sockets, showing you the list from below. And if you're looking at specifically 2 sockets, they are all cheap options. One colour of another is 15, or 2 of one colour is 25. So with today's prices, that's about 4 chaos orbs. So he wants 3 blue and 1 red. So if we force this to be 2 blue, these 2 blue sockets, we now are halfway there. So if you were to go to adding a 3rd socket, this adds a socket with the same weighting that the gloves have, or the item has, with the attributes. It isn't just a pure random chance. There is a weighting to it still, but it's not only going to be cheaper to roll it. I've hit this, so I'm going to keep this because I don't want the video to be too long. But if I was to remove this, it would remove this 1 socket 100% of the time. The initial 2 you've rolled, it stays. So then we go over to 4 sockets. And I remember it's red, so I thought we'd done it straight away, but I want to prove this point. If I go to 3 sockets, it will 100% chance remove this green socket. So if we do this mental math, I've spent 1 jewelers to get to 2 sockets, 3 to get to there, so that's 4. Now 14 spent, 17, 27, 30, 40, 43, 53. I'm not going to keep going because it's going to annoy you. But there you go, 66 is what it cost. Now, let's pretend I got unlucky with that. First of all, I just want to quickly show if you didn't get lucky with the first bit, and you're doing a 2 socket, 3 socket. It's only 1 in 3 jewelers orbs, respectively. So I think I said I spent about 60 jewelers for this. 1 jewelers right now, sorry, 1 chaos right now gets you 16 jewelers. So about 4 chaos orbs or so in jewelers orbs. I spent about 4 chaos orbs or so in colouring the first 2. So I spent nearly 10 chaos orbs. If you then factor in the linking, which obviously you have to do afterwards, we have spent on average maybe 10 chaos on something, which should have cost us over 100 if we double check what the page said. It should have cost us our 875 chromes, which is 145 chaos orbs. Instead we spent 10, and this will work with anything. If it has a higher requirement and you're still going for all 4 of colors like I have, I did earlier with a 99 base, the weighting would mean it is slightly harder to hit the right socket when you do the 2 to 3 and 3 to 4, but it's still going to be cheaper. It might take a bit longer, but it will save you a lot of money. Anyway, I hope this has helped, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.